Are you thinking about buying or selling a home, or just want to keep up with the latest Twin Cities real estate news, stats, and trends? Then come hang out with us for a little while. Hi, I'm Kirk Duckwall, and you are watching the Twin Cities Real Estate Show. Make sure you check us out online at twincitiesrealestateteshow.com. There you can find our upcoming classes. That said, we do have one coming up here on February 24th, Eagan Community Center, and that is Selling Smart. All attendees will also get a free hard copy of our Smart Seller Guide. And we're going to be talking about, we're going to touch on some of the things we're going to cover in that class here a little later in the show, but about how you can utilize certain techniques, marketing tools that can help get you an easy extra $20K on the sale of your home. So if you want to learn those tricks and techniques, come out and check out that class again, February 24th. Eagan Community Center, twincitiesrealestateshow.com, click on classes. All right, today in studio, Jilly Jenkins. It's been a while.
I know it's been too long.
It's good to see you again.
I'm glad to be back.
Yes, and then Chad Priebe, as always.
Good to see you
As
guys.
always, Chad.
I was happy with you when rates were going down last week, but now I'm angry.
Now I'm a dartboard
Yep,
again?
Now you're a dartboard.
Okay.
We'll talk about that.
In a roundabout way, everything is Chad's fault.
My skin's pretty tough.
It's not the economy. It's Chad's
Chad.
fault.
Yeah.
Yes. So you can send your angry emails about rates to chadpriebe.com.
Please do. Absolutely.
All right, so before we deep dive into our subject today, which is going to be real estate by numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just diving into some good data points, whether you're a buyer or seller, that you might want to know. I mean,
Kirk's going to paint a picture like Bob Ross.
yeah,
I like it.
happy little sold signs.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, real estate's one of those things that, I mean, we would take our time, listen to advice, really plan out, for retirement or a big investment, right?
Absolutely.
But sometimes with real estate, it's really that shotgun approach. And it's not until somebody really understands the numbers behind it and how just little brief periods of time can make a big difference. I mean, take 2 weeks ago versus this last week, 23% more showings in 1 week.
It exploded. And usually it would after the Super Bowl, which is this weekend. So I feel like we're 2-3 weeks ahead of the norm for timing for our market.
50 degrees out, 60 degrees here in February, and I think people are excited to get out and make a move.
My friend mowed his lawn.
I was looking at my lawn, and I was actually like, I wish I wouldn't have taken the mower deck off of my tractor.
So you could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's crazy, huh?
Yeah. Because I didn't get to it.
And nobody's ice fishing. People are out like fishing from boats and from canoes.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm all for that. I'd rather be in a boat.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too, guys. It's, February and
You
not
gotta
too
get your
far
boat
off
out.
from spring.
Get your boat out.
Let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing in numbers wise. So, new listings into the marketplace, slight rise of 836 up to 847. So not a big difference week over week. But if we look in comparison to last year, we had 745 in comparison to 847, right? So that's a 13% increase in total listings. And I think it's weather related, one, but I also think we did see a lot of second-time purchasers purchase in December and are now listing their houses, right? They were capturing the better interest rates, and they were holding out for the better market.
If they were advised correctly, that would be a really smart move.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I think
it's kind of a buildup like there was with COVID.
Yes.
Where you see the market get a little flooded as soon as the atmosphere is better.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when we saw a significant increase pending sales, going up by 6.3%. Year over year, so it went from last year's 681 to 724. But here again, week over week, that's showing you that increase. It went from 626 up to 724. So again, almost another 100 more sales in 1 week's period of time. Ultimately, this is bringing that inventory of homes to that Cross Point, which I knew it was coming. I was seeing in the early data that it looked like, okay, association numbers seemed a little high. They ended up doing a revision on it, and then the newest numbers come out and show we're actually ahead in inventory now.
Compared to last year?
Compared to last year. Not much.
It doesn't feel like it.
Not much. 0.5%.
Okay.
Very teeny amount. Yeah, just a very slight differential. That could flip-flop because with the strength in the activity last week, with that 23% more showings, we could see that drop back below. So,
do you think taxes have something to do with it too? Because I have some clients that are filing their taxes and able to get pre-approved for a better situation with their new taxes. Do you think that that's kind of
taxes, tax refunds? That's another thing, right?
Yeah.
Getting that little a little kickback.
Yeah,
returning your money,
or just being able to be pre-approved for higher.
Yes, is their job.
Because it's kind of needed
pay
right now because the prices are higher, interest rates are higher, kind of the down payment needed is higher, and the mortgage costs are higher.
And to your point, Jilly, that's a good point. But you don't know that until you get the process started. Start educating yourself, talking to us professionals about what it looks like. Because borrowing money is higher than average right now. So have a plan in place.
It's still smarter in the long run to borrow money rather than pay rent. That's for sure, honestly.
I think that's the key. Long run.
I should say for the most part, because everyone's different scenario. But it is easier when you have a new tax bracket going on to buy with a new purchase pricing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I like these numbers, Kirk, because it's confirming what you were talking about a lot, that 8% increase. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
we're gonna get into that in the next segment. So showings per listing, that's also on the rise. Of course, we talked about total number of showings up 23%, but yeah, we saw a nice jump. I think that was about 9% on the showings per listing, and so right now in the Twin Cities, if the house is priced between $250 and $500. You can expect, on average, 5 showings per week, right?
Okay.
So if you're not hitting that number, at least you're tracking a little behind. You might want to, relook at your marketing, relook at your presentation, relook at pricing.
Get some feedback.
Exactly. And then the market meter. We're officially in a seller's market now, right? So
I felt that.
Yeah.
I felt it.
Yeah. A lot of stuff going into multiple offers.
Everything's in multiples already for my clients. And I do mostly first-time home buyer, so I'm a bracket of, let's say, like 250 to 350 on average for my clients. It's already brutal.
Yeah.
And that's not to scare anybody. That's more just to reiterate how important it is to be prepared.
Yeah. You can't go into this willy-nilly. You got to be all in.
Well, it's coming in with the right strategies. But yeah, 6.32, it's on the lower end of sellers markets. So just start being aware as buyers, keeping, looking more at the Monday houses, be cautious of homes going for more and being put in a situation where you're overpaying.
Have your agent know those comps. Yeah. Talk about those comps with your agent when you're putting that offer in.
Absolutely.
So we're going to take a commercial break here. I'm going to do my best not to miss the clock this time for Lauren and end on time so she doesn't have to do extra editing. But yes, we're going to take a quick commercial
Lauren,
break.
keep us in line.
Check us out online, TwinCitiesRealEstateShow.com. Again, when we come back, we're going to deep dive into those numbers. We'll see you in just a minute. Kirk Duckwall here again with the Twin Cities Real Estate Show. Our local sponsors are BRIX Real Estate, Network Title, Eric Bloomstrand and Chad Priebe with Bell Bank Mortgage, and James Tufson with the Preserve Group. Welcome back to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show. Today we're going to be deep diving into the numbers. Real estate by
numbers.
Exactly. Yes.
I like it.
So wanted to hit on kind of 3 different pieces that apply to sellers, apply to buyers. So hopefully everybody gets something out of this. Just good information to know.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one is the cost of saving. And This is an interesting topic because there's a lot of moving dynamics in this one. Back when I first was thinking about it, interest rates weren't moving a lot. They were relatively flat, and you definitely can see the cost-benefit analysis when looking at it. And the idea is you have an appreciation rate. The average appreciation rate is 4.5%, in the Twin Cities area dating back over 100-plus years, right?
Yeah, and that's annually. So just to, I guess, clarify anyone that doesn't understand that, the house you buy today is this time next year statistically going to be 4.5% higher in equity.
And one of the things that I loved to do, and actually a recommendation for you, Jilly, I know you're talking about trying to express this to some clients, is people hear that and they go, well, yeah, but it's not going to happen to me. I'm going to find that deal. I'm going to find that deal, right? And I'm buying that $350,000 house today. I'm going to buy that $350,000 house tomorrow, and that's the way it's going to be. They don't realize that. Yeah. Obviously, you could buy a $350 tomorrow as well. You're just degrading what you're going to get.
Yes, because of that equity rise,
right?
And because of pre-approval levels. It's hard for first-time home buyers. It's hard, but if you have a good lender, if you have a good agent, and you have a title company that knows what they're doing, you're going to make it happen. It's just the effort that you got to put into it and the knowledge you have to make it happen.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's okay.
How many times, and I've heard this a lot, how many times have you heard a middle-aged person say, gosh, I wish I would have started saving for my retirement earlier?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm one of those people.
What retirement?
And to my point here, guys, is that if you don't purchase a home, you're never going to start building that wealth, right? And we talk about that a lot with our clients, is that security blanket for retirement, and that's equity. And
I actually posted this morning on Facebook a graph about equity rise and 10-year increments, and out of every year since 1942, if you own the property for 10 years, you will have a rise in equity. You will have a payout if you were to sell that home every year other than 2006.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, and that wasn't like a massive change.
No,
right? It was 3% different.
down, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, I mean, kind of to put it in some perspective, I had a client and looking at that getting a home that worked for them, and they had a decent sized family and they were renting a house, right? And they're like, okay, finally we're gonna go buy. And they could have bought, but they had set the bar here and they were looking at here and
in
here
terms of condition.
Yeah.
Okay.
And features and all of that.
Yep.
Well, they ended up waiting. So, and they could have gotten a 5-bedroom, 3,000 square foot home, would have worked for the family. They waited so long that by the time they engaged in the market again, hey, well, we're going to get serious about this. They now could buy a 3-bedroom townhouse. That's how the market had moved over that 7 years. And so, when truly considering, you're right, you can buy that $350 house tomorrow and you can buy it 2 years from now, 3 years from now, but you may go from having it work for your situation today to not completely actually becoming non-workable.
Right.
And reducing what it is that you want. So that said, getting into a property, right? So we have appreciation to consider. Now, appreciation is a little bit lower. It's only at about 3% right now.
That's kind of what they were, by they I mean NAR, is anticipating for the next year, right?
So, for somebody out there, well, I'm just going to save more. Well, you need to save $12,500 to put down and buy the exact same
on a
house.
350 house.
On a 350 house, yeah.
So I tried to explain to a couple clients that I'm working with right now the difference in pricing for this very moment compared to what we're going to see at the end of the summer. And the bump up in equity does generally kind of condense itself in our spring market. that's when things really start to escalate.
Yeah,
That's
we're going to
when-
get to that. That's our next set of
That's-
numbers.
I'm leading into
Yeah.
it, right? And so when you're looking right now, and I'm talking very specifically right now, your pricing that you're seeing right now for a 350 home, when we get to July, August, that home is probably statistically, if we're going by the rise that we see annually, happens in the spring, is going to be, what'd you say, 1250 more?
Yeah.
12,500
Yeah,
12,500.
more. And as coming from a rental standpoint, that's kind of a big deal because you're now going to be paying 3% more, having to have that as your down payment.
Mm-hmm.
And you've also most likely, if you're renting a 1-bedroom, paying at least $1,500 a month in our metro.
Right.
So you've lost that you could have put towards equity also.
Yeah.
And what's the difference, you guys? Because we did the numbers
Well,
before
so, I mean,
for
if
pricing with interest rates.
like this is based on the hypothetical if they go down and they need to go down over 1%. Yeah, you could see the prices go up that 12.5 and have a lower payment if rates come down. But again, that's an if.
Yeah.
There. And you also have to factor on this $150 differential, nothing is going towards principal when you're doing rent, right? In
Right.
this
But
scenario,
it was a $150 difference
Yes.
for a whole 1%
Yeah.
of change of interest rate.
yeah,
So right now we're sitting at, what is it, Chad? About 7-ish,
Yeah, let's just say 7%
roughly.
for the show.
Obviously,
yeah.
that's different per each individual.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into that, right? Credit score,
And maybe
property
you should
type,
take
stuff
the
like
reins
that.
on me explaining this, but 7%, if we track with what I guess the predictions are, that maybe we'll be down a percentage this time next year, right?
Yep, that's what the MBA is showing.
That's
is,
the crystal ball.
yeah, and that
which
you
was
know,
not right this last year.
No,
No.
don't bank don't bank on that. These are all
Right.
these are all forecasts,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And so a 350 home for 7% and a
I mean, my guess is weather
360
forecasters are more
2.
accurate than economists.
Yeah.
Forecasts.
Will you
Right?
take the reins on explaining that difference of it's only $150 a month change?
Yeah. That's you're onto
That's
something
shocking
really important
for me
here.
to see those numbers this morning.
Yeah, and ultimately you're factoring in the appreciation of 3%, right?
Yep.
Although the rate's lower with that appreciation, you're only saving $150 a month or so, right?
Roughly on a 350
Roughly.
purchase.
So if you're going to wait to get from 7% down to 6% to save $150, you're missing out on that 3% equity gain on that property right off the bat when you purchase it, right? And another thing I was thinking about is if average rent in the Twin Cities is around $2,000 a month, you have to then save $12,500 to get that same property the following year. I think it's pretty impossible for a lot of people,
Yep.
right?
Well, and this becomes the degrading of what somebody can buy.
Yes.
If you inject yourself earlier, just like with retirement, the cost benefit, and you're going to get a heck of a lot more by the time you actually retire, right?
Right.
Whereas if you wait, it's little bits of gain. Now, something better than nothing? Absolutely, something's better than nothing.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned, right? Are there scenarios where you might want to wait? Absolutely, there's scenarios. If you know you're going to be moving, you have something that's going to be happening within the next year, 2 years, maybe 3, or another one, you know you have a promotion coming or a job change where you're going to be making more money. That will change your qualification amount.
I guess job change, though, is a tricky subject, too, because what is the job change?
Well,
Chad
if it's
can
out
talk
of
about
industry,
that for
yeah.
pre-approval,
Right.
you know?
Right. I mean, yeah, and job change isn't a bad thing, obviously, if you're bettering yourself, but industry change or, you know, if you're going from W-2 to self-employed, you gotta bridge that
Well,
gap,
then you have
right?
something there too. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yes.
that's a big conversation to talk about. But, you know, ultimately, you're especially first-time home buyers. I think I saw 40% of the buyers in 2024 are going to be first-time home buyers. This is
I
very
think last year it was 45-ish%, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Off the top of my
yeah.
head.
So this is a very important subject because you're buying your first home. Not saying you need to go out and buy something that doesn't meet your expectations, But like Kirk was saying, and you were saying, Jilly, is that you got to get your foot in the door, knowing that it's not your forever home, but you're giving your child a chance, opportunity to build that equity, to then put that the proceeds from that sale down on your buy up property.
Yep. Well, because you lock in, right? As soon as you purchase a home, you're now part of the club, right?
You're in
right?
the club.
Boom. Now your equity is growing in your place,
Instead of your landlords.
Right.
Yeah, if you are living in a shelter and paying to live there, you're either paying your mortgage or someone else's mortgage.
Yes.
And that's the harsh reality of it.
Yeah.
No matter how hard it is to make it happen for you, that's the reality.
Okay.
Good topic.
I want to hop on because you brought this up, which is the growth in equity mostly happens now.
Right now.
Right? Right. So for sellers, it's important to understand that within the next 30-ish days to 45 days, our prices move by about 8%, right?
Yeah.
Right? That fast. And that was looking at home sales, all home sales, Dakota, Hennepin, Ramsey last year, same time, right? That the homes went under contract at this time, not closed, under contract.
Right.
So 8% growth in that beginning of February to kind of middle of March timeline is where we see that happen.
It skyrockets.
That's tens of thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Right, depending on your price point.
So for a seller, it's important to make sure that you are leveraging this. Now, keep in mind, it then starts to retreat, right?
Yeah.
It goes
July,
up that fast and then starts to move back down. Well, actually, no. I mean, the peak is March, April, and it.
I always tell my clients in July, everyone wants to be out and doing summer
the cabins,
stuff.
yes, yeah.
Minnesota is kind of a little bit different maybe than the rest of the country, where we have like a couple months of when we can really revel in our summer and we really take advantage of it and don't focus on business.
Right.
Yeah.
We want to be living it up at the lakes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an important topic too, right?
So, but you were saying it starts to go down after about April.
Yeah, I mean, it starts to retreat, right? And again, this is not this is closed sales data will say June, July, or somewhere in there, May, June, July, depending on the year. But you got to realize closed sales data is not what's happening today. You got to go back from that closed sale 30, 45-ish days, and that's when the actual activity is happening. So, yeah, you get this 8% rise. So for sellers, you want to take advantage of that, and for buyers, you want to be aware of that.
Yes,
you
please.
know,
Yes.
this is the time to maybe do exploratory showings, learn about what it is that you want. Yeah, there can still be good buys to be had, but just be careful. Don't get sucked in. Okay, now, that said, on average, we will see a 10% spread between the low in the market and the high in the market, right?
For cost of purchase price.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. From our absolute bottom, which tends to be like, again, when homes are going under contract, October, November, December, somewhere in there, depending on the year, right? To our peaks, which are in that, March, April timeline, that's a 10% spread. So again, as buyers and sellers, think about that. Now, one nuance to it is the inventory levels. If you do wait till December, you're not going to have as much to choose from typically as a buyer. And also, the condition of the properties are the leftover homes, potentially, not all of them, of the homes that didn't sell in September or October, right?
Yeah.
So
I feel like when I do showings in the winter, this time of year, honestly, it's starting to pick up now, but I'd say the past month is a lot more vacant homes that are like estates, investment properties that someone's selling. It's not as much of the...
It's the must move.
Yeah. It's a must sell.
Or must sell.
Yeah.
And those are good opportunities,
I mean,
right?
give me a grandma house any day.
Oh, absolutely.
My clients will take that and make it a gem. That's my favorite kind of sale.
Right.
All right. Okay. Now, another one, touchy subject for agents, touchy subject for buyers, sellers, whatever. And it's representation and commissions, right? And what I want to hit on here is if you take your time and find somebody who understands the market, who understands the numbers, and can really be a good quality representative for you, on average, you'll get about 4% better pricing on your buy side.
Okay.
On average.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah. Pretty decent.
Yeah.
Right.
For an average house, that's over $10,000 in our metro.
So somebody who can really be your advocate, understands, knows what to look for, utilize that, helps you find those good homes. For sellers, though, this is where it gets crazy. The differential there, and I think, I think there are a lot of people that hold a license to just sell a home for a family member.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think this is where you see maybe the lack of quality marketing tools, experience, whatever it might be. I honestly don't care if Uncle Jim has had his real estate license for 20 years. If Uncle Jim only sells 2 homes a year, I would rather have that agent that's 1 year in that does 7 homes a year, right? They have experience.
Yeah, they've seen more transactions, more scenarios.
I had an agent recently pull how long I've been in the business card. And then I looked him up and I was like, oh man, you sold 1 house last year. What are you talking about? Yeah. You have no idea what the market is. Yeah. Honestly, and on average, what is it, like around 10-ish houses that you're going to sell a year on average as an average agent, like 8 to 10-ish?
So here's a funny little thing. I was doing a new marketing tool that I'm checking out, and I was trying to figure out the cost-benefit analysis and how many listings it would take. And I realized, well, I don't think any agent that does at least or does under 12, this would necessarily make financial sense for. So I pulled up and number of licensed people in the system I was looking at, which I think covers Minnesota and western Wisconsin and a little bit of the Dakotas. It was like 16,000 agents.
It's more than there are listings, correct?
At the moment.
Yeah.
16,000 some licensed agents. And then when I entered in 12 listings, it took that number down to about 1,500.
Wow.
Right? Less than 10%.
That's less than I thought. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, your experience levels are drastic out there, but here's where it gets crazy. And
that's shocking, Kirk. I'm sorry. That shocked me.
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
So, the number that percentage-wise, if you have really good representation, good quality marketing, good pricing, all of that. Staging, exactly. Photography, everything, right? The whole shebang. Over 6% gain.
Wow.
In average sale price. And I've been working on it. One of these days I'm going to finish it. And it's that book in class, the improving outcomes with data, right? Yeah. And you can see it everywhere there. So 4% for buy side, 6%. So I mean, you tie in, if you're working with a good agent on the buy sell side, 10% differential.
Major money,
right? To have and just like you would hire a good proven track record financial advisor, you want to make sure that you are taking the time to find an agent who really is there to help you out, not just to get a sale.
That's so important. And just real quick, as a consumer, don't be scared to ask for their scorecard. What I mean by that is look at their track record. We're talking 10% difference in money on hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's a major amount of money.
I would use good questions too, like days on market can be deceiving. Yeah. I sell my home in 2 days or whatever, or I sold it for $10,000 over asking price. I'm more like, what do your homes sell for in comparison to the similar homes in that neighborhood, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Price per square foot. That's what I want to know. Right.
That's good. That's a good point.
It's an easy thing. That's when I'm comparing brokerages to each other. That's what I'm looking at.
The bottom line.
I don't want to. I don't know if this is fully fair because I know a lot of agents personally that have only been licensed for, let's say, the past 3 years. But people that have not worked outside of our COVID scenario don't have as much frame of reference as to how the market works in a normal market. Yeah. And so that's something I would talk to agents about too.
And if you really want to see how normal our market is becoming, go to the BRIX Twin Cities site. I think we actually even might have it on Twin Cities Real Estate Show, but it's the market meter, a link to that, and you can see how similar things are in comparison to like 2019 from where we were just a couple of years ago.
And people that got licensed in 2020 don't understand that we're moving into, I would say, a more stable market. It sure as heck isn't an easy market. No. I don't think I've ever worked in an easy market. But it's more stable now, and the drama and the horrible influx and just roller coaster of the past several years that our buyers and sellers have been on is kind of calming a little bit right now. It doesn't mean it's easy, but it's scary to agents that haven't seen the house sit for more than a week. You know, are they going to panic because it didn't sell the first weekend?
Price drop.
And then are you going to lose equity and purchase price because you're being guided by someone that hasn't seen a different market? Right. And I'm not trying to hate on anyone out there, because agents that have worked through this hellish past 3 years have a lot of
I think there's a big conversation to be had with clients about, we really like this house. We want this house. Do you want to overpay for this house? Well, what do you mean? Well, the other homes did not sell for what this one is going to sell for because this one's in multiple offers. Is it worth that? Oh, no, it's not. A lot of agents go into the conversation of, it's going to take $10,000 over, $20,000 over to get it, not playing the devil's advocate a little bit of, do you really want to do that?
Right. Yeah.
Well, the harsh reality is it might be 10 or 20 over, especially we're coming into that market again, unfortunately. It is. That's the reality of buying right now, but that is not the only way to buy. Right. You can make it happen.
And the reality of a soft landing, I think, I was talking to a person about this the other day, although we all want interest rates to go lower, but how fast do we want those interest rates to come down? With a really sharp drop that we had in December was nice to see. But if we see another sharp drop or a really big drop, we're going to start having, multiple offer issues again, overpaying, stuff like that. So I know
we're getting the wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm going to be
here. I could talk with you guys all day. Pay by numbers.
Thanks again for joining us. As always, check us out, TwinCitiesRealEstateShow.com. Looking to sell your home? Come to our class, February 24th. Go to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show, click on class. See y'all next week. Kirk Duckwall here again with the Twin Cities Real Estate Show. Our local sponsors are BRIX Real Estate, Network Title, Eric Bloomstrand and Chad Priebe with Bell Bank Mortgage, and James Tufson with the Preserve Group. Don't forget to check us out online anytime at TwinCitiesRealEstateShow.com. There you can find all of our past shows, our weekly market updates, along with the latest and greatest searching and researching tools, and our free publications, to include the Smart Home Buyer Guide and the Smart Seller Guide, along with the BRIX Report. All of these free for you. If you have any real estate questions, please feel free to give us a call, 651-303-0019. Again, 651-303-0019. Happy to help answer any of your real estate questions or assist with your real estate needs.